I'm Chris Wallace. President Obama gives his State of the Union address Tuesday, hoping to jumpstart his second term.
I want to work with Congress whenever and wherever I can. But the one thing I'm emphasizing to all my cabinet members is we're not going to wait.
We'll discuss the president's agenda, Obamacare, and more with White House senior advisor Dan Pfeiffer. Then, Republicans set their sights on retaking the Senate this November, hoping to overcome the infighting that has plagued their party.
We don't need more class warfare, and we don't need more interference from Washington.
We'll talk about the GOP's plan for 2014 with the top Republican in the Senate, Mitch McConnell. It's a Fox News Sunday exclusive. Plus, growing signs Hillary Clinton plans to run for president. Our Sunday panel handicaps her chances. All right now on Fox News Sunday. And hello again from Fox News in Washington. President Obama says 2014 must be a year of action for the country. But that follows a year when his agenda went nowhere on Capitol Hill. Here to preview Tuesday's State of the Union address is White House senior advisor Dan Pfeiffer. And Dan, welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
All right. We hear that Tuesday night for the third straight year, the president's main theme is going to be income inequality and building ladders of opportunity. Here's what he had to say about that last year.
It is our generation's task, then, to reignite the true engine of America's economic growth, a rising, thriving middle class.
What new or different ideas will the president offer this year to achieve that?
Well, I think what you're going to hear from the president on Tuesday night is a series of concrete, practical, specific proposals on how we restore opportunity through a wide set of means: job training, education, manufacturing, energy. And these will be some legislative proposals, but also a number of actions he can take on his own.
All right. I want to pick up on that because, as we say, this is a familiar theme for the president. He talked about it a lot the last 2 years. Let's look at the Obama record, what he proposed and what happened to those ideas last year. The president proposed raising the minimum wage to $9 an hour. No progress. Creating a network of 15 manufacturing hubs. No progress. Universal preschool. Nothing. Major tax reform. Nothing. Tell us about this memo that is in the papers today that you wrote and the president has apparently accepted to basically work around Congress more and to do more through executive action.
I'd actually just take a quick issue with what you just said there. You say nothing happened on manufacturing hubs. It is true Congress did not pass the proposal we want, but we went on our own, pulled money together in the federal government, and have announced two. There's one running in Youngstown. The president was in North Carolina last week.
But the 15 that he asked for in the State of the Union.
And 4 of them were done. Two are in place, and 2 are in the pipeline.
Okay.
Universal pre-K, we don't have the big proposal, but we made some progress in the budget. So we are working where we can with Congress and acting on our own where we can. And I think with the way we have to think about this year is we have divided government. The Republican Congress is not going to rubber stamp the president's agenda. The president's not going to sign the Republican Congress's agenda. So we have to find areas where we can work together. We could start by extending unemployment benefits for 1.6 million Americans, pass a farm bill, pass immigration reform, infrastructure, so an array of things we can do together. No one's going to get everything they want, but you can do that. But also the president will say to the country, he's not going to wait. He has a pen and he has a phone, and he's going to use those to move the ball forward to create opportunity.
But, you know, there have been presidents before, Ronald Reagan, a number of them, who have dealt with Congresses of the different party and have been able to get things through, a lot of serious stuff through. Why can't this president?
Well, we have made progress. We got a budget this year. This president has the legislative record that stands up to any Affordable Care Act, Wall Street reform, array of issues that we've made progress on. But look, Washington does not work as well as it should. Everyone knows that. Last year, the American people looked at Washington with the shutdown, the near default, the problems with healthcare.gov, and they were frustrated. And so it's incumbent upon all of us, the president included, to try to rebuild that trust with the American people and make progress. And what they want to see is progress, either in Congress or from the president on his own.
And how much can you do? I mean, let's face it, the big thing is you have to get legislation. That's the way the Constitution's written. How much can you do through executive action?
You can do a lot. I'll take 2 things from 2013 that don't get enough attention. First, the president put in place a climate action plan to reduce carbon pollution, taking historic steps, something he did without Congress. And then we also worked with the FCC so that we have an initiative in place that is moving forward to provide wireless access to 99% of school districts in this country. That is significant stuff we can do without Congress.
You talk about income inequality. Some experts say the real reason that you've got such income inequality is because of the weak Obama economic recovery. And let's take a look at some of the numbers there. Since the president took office, median household income has dropped from $55,900 to $52,100. Poverty has increased by 6.7 million to a record 46.5 million. And participation in the labor force has dropped from 65.7% to a 36-year low of 62.8%. Wouldn't a stronger, more robust economy and recovery solve a lot of these problems the president is talking about?
Well, absolutely. But I think it's important to remember this president inherited the worst economic situations of the Great Depression, a financial crisis.
But the recession ended 4 years ago.
Yes, and we have created in the last 46 months 8 million jobs. The unemployment rate has dropped to 6.7%. We're now producing more oil than before. The American auto industry is #1 in the world again. We are making progress, but there is more to do, and that's what you hear the president talk about.
Well, you say.
And I think it's important to remember that what we're trying to do here is restore opportunity for all Americans, grow the economy, and create jobs.
But you talk about restoring median household income is down, labor force participation is down, food stamps are up, poverty rate is up. If things are so great, how come they're so lousy?
I think we've made tremendous progress, but there's much more work to do. That's what the president has always said. That we have to. The American businesses, American workers are doing the right thing. Washington needs to help them, and that we have a series of proposals from last year and additional ones this year that will help. These are things that have been bipartisan in the past, like raising the minimum wage, infrastructure. If Congress were to do that, we would make tremendous progress. This can be a year of action. And we can make real progress, but we have to do it together. And if Congress doesn't act, the president will.
One of the things that people say is a drag on the economy is Obamacare. And I want to put up these numbers. According to a report last month, almost 400 businesses have cut workers and hours to avoid the employer mandate. And major employers like Target, Home Depot, Walgreens, and Trader Joe's say they are going to drop part-time workers from health insurance and direct them to the Obamacare exchange. Question, despite the president's promise, isn't it true that first you had millions of people who lost their policies because they were in the individual market? Now you're going to have people who are employed, part-timers, or even some full-timers are going to be thrown out of their health care plans that supposedly they liked and are forced into the exchanges because of Obamacare.
I think I'd say first two things. When we passed the Affordable Care Act, every Republican said it'd be a job killer. Since it's been passed, we've created 8 million jobs in this country, for American businesses and workers.
Well, wait. The plan didn't really go into effect until October.
And second,
and you also delayed the employer mandate for a year.
Long before the Affordable Care Act, businesses made decisions about what kind of coverage they were going to offer and who they were going to offer to. What is different now is that if your business, your employer decides to no longer offer coverage, you have guaranteed access to affordable health care. Before the Affordable Care Act, you would be out on your own. If you had a pre-existing condition, you would never have a chance to get coverage. But that has been changed.
But a lot of people are being dropped because of the Affordable Care Act. Some of these companies that were employing and giving health insurance to part-time workers are now going to drop them because of all the regulations, all the expense, and it's going to be another case of millions of people who like their plan not being able to keep their plan.
If you go back and read the papers for the last decade, you will read stories every day of employers making the same decision. What is different now is that if your employer makes that decision, you have guaranteed access to affordable health care.
You're not suggesting, though, that Trader Joe's and Target and Home Depot and Walgreens, which just announced that they're going to throw people into the exchanges, that it has nothing to do with Obamacare.
They can explain what their reasons are. What I'm saying is that if your employer makes a decision, you have guaranteed access to affordable health care with better benefits than you had before.
On Friday, the Supreme Court said that the Little Sisters of the Poor do not have to comply with the birth control mandate as long as they continue to pursue their legal challenge. Does the White House insist that the nuns must sign a waiver, even though they say that this violates their religious beliefs?
This is a matter before the court. The court's going to hear the case. We believe that our rules have struck the right balance here, and we'll see what the court has to say.
But the Little Sisters say, and the court feels there's enough support for it, that they have stayed the birth control mandate. They say, the Little Sisters do, that even signing the certification, even just saying we're not going to do it, but the third party, the insurance company, can do it, that violates their religious beliefs.
Well, the court specifically says in their order that this should not be read as to have any indication of their view of the merits. So let's see what the court has to say.
But you're going to continue to insist it this way. You're not backing off the insistence.
No, right, exactly. There's a case before the court. They're going to rule, and we've made our position clear, and we think we struck the right balance.
And your position is that the little sister should have to sign that certification?
Yes.
No change in that?
No.
Okay. One area of possible progress this year, we've talked about all the areas where there are not, is immigration reform. And House Republican leaders, and there was a big kind of leak about it this weekend, are apparently working on a plan in which they might offer legal status to the 11 million residents, undocumented workers who are here illegally, not a path to citizenship, except perhaps for young kids, the so-called dreamers, the ones who are brought here as children, but a legal status. Is that a compromise the president would be willing to accept?
I think what we should do here is let the Republicans put forward their plan. The president's been very clear about what he wants. He's talked about it for years. He campaigned on it in 2012. He supported the Senate bill that included a path to citizenship. We think it's progress that the Republicans are going to put something forward. We know this is not easy for them, that there's some divisions in their party over it. Let's see what they put forward, and then hopefully we can come together and make some progress.
So you're going to give them some space to work on this. This is not something, for instance, in the State of the Union, you're going to beat them up about.
No, the president's been very consistent that he wants to see what they put forward and try to get something. He doesn't want an issue, he wants a solution, and that's what you're hearing in the State of the Union.
But, I mean, you're the senior advisor to the president. You're sitting here today. You're not saying we insist that there has to be a path to citizenship for those 11 million.
We have been very clear about what we want, right? The president's been very clear. The American people support the president's position. Let's let the House actually put the proposal forward, see what it actually says, not just what a leak says, and then we'll go from there.
Finally, Congress did reach an agreement, as you point out, in December to keep the government from shutting down, a bipartisan budget agreement. But the next big perils of Pauline crisis may be over the debt limit. And Treasury Secretary Lew says that the debt limit has to be raised by late February or you go into default. Republicans are talking about attaching something to it, maybe a banning of any kind of a bailout of the insurance companies or maybe repealing the medical device tax. Would the president accept any policy tied to raising the debt ceiling, or does it have to be absolutely clean as a whistle?
Our position on this is the same as it was in October and the same as it's been for more than a year, which is the American people should not have to pay the Republicans in Congress ransom for doing their most basic function, which is paying the bills. They have passed what is essentially a debt limit free of ideological riders the last two times. They should do it again and spare the country the drama and the economic damage of repeating the movie no one wants to see from October.
So is the president, I mean, are you saying, speaking for the president, will veto it if the bill has any conditions attached? It has to be clean.
I'm saying that we're doing it the exact same way we've done this from before, which is we were not going to pay them ransom. Nothing has changed in our position. I hope Republicans follow the lead of your next guest, Senator McConnell, who said right afterwards that they would not go down this path again.
Well, I'm sure he'll appreciate that endorsement. Dan Pfeiffer, thank you so much for coming in today. And we'll be watching what the president has to say Tuesday night. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chris.
Now that we've heard the White House agenda, time to hear from the GOP. The top Republican in the Senate, Mitch McConnell, joins us here live next. Plus, what would you like to ask the minority leader? Just go to Facebook or Twitter at Fox News Sunday, and we may use your question on the air.